This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
We're about to begin our meeting. Do we have anybody that can volunteer for the prayer?
I do.
Okay.
Bow your head, please. Father God, we come to you this morning just to tell you thank you, Father. Thank you for everything that you do. Father God, it's just a blessing to wake up this morning. Father God, just continue to bless us, continue to bless Dooley County, Father God. Father God, the kids are getting out of school for summer vacation. Just be with them, lead them in the right direction that they need to go on, and keep them out of trouble and keep them safe. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have before you an agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to add a few items. I have a question about the surplus property we have in Unadilla. I'd like to request an executive session with personnel matter. And then update on the lease with the state for the DFAX building.
Okay.
And then we'd like to add, we have a representative from Congressman Sanford Bishop's office sitting in on the meeting. And I'd just like to give her an opportunity to introduce herself if y'all would.
Dave? Tim?
Good.
I want to talk, okay, Tony?
I'm good, Mr.
Okay, then I want to just update on the Somerville. I do. Okay, we're going to add that to the agenda also.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I move that we approve the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
That's it.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor by the show of hand, that motion carries. Okay, all the old minutes were emailed. Steve actually got mine this time.
Wow.
And I actually got, my daughter-in-law might have helped me out a little bit. What's the pleasure of the board?
I so move. You accept the whole man.
Second. There's been a motion and second. Are there any discussion on the old minute before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hand. And that motion carried. Mr. Steve is on you now.
All right, well, before we get to the items, if you mind if I invite
No, but bring on.
Ms. Hill? You would just come up here and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, morning, everyone. My name is Sharonda Hill. I'm the Deputy District Director of Field Work for Congressman Sanford Bishop. I've been with him for about 8 years. I'm replacing Tammy Jones. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with her. She was a representative here before. And as you know, we serve 29 counties within the Georgia area. And I'm the one that's assigned to you all. So please reach out and I'll be trying to get in contact with each of you just to get to know you, see what is needed, and make sure you have all my contact information. Thank you.
One last question before she leaves. I'm looking for the check.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to work with y'all so we can get the check.
There you go.
You got to start somewhere.
Thank you. All right, Miss Taylor, is she here yet?
Well, she's here on the phone, but it's myself and the chairperson.
Are y'all, we're a few minutes early, but are y'all ready?
Yes.
All right, why don't y'all come on up and then we'll.
And if it's okay, I have her on the phone. She couldn't be here in person today. And how's everybody this morning?
Right.
So we're coming back to me. I know we said we discuss dates with you all to see if that would work. And I know we discussed doing June, the month of June, but upon further speaking amongst each other, we decided with school starting back, I think it's July the 28th, that 2 weeks prior to school would be best just to get everything fresh on parents' minds and administrators and everyone. So the week that we're looking at is July 17th through the 21st. So if that would work with you all, I guess we can individually get with each commissioner who represents our district and kind of coordinate with your schedule to see if that would work. So if that's fine with you all, or if we need to change some dates around, we'd be more than happy to do so.
But
Also, I'm sorry, can they hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good morning, how y'all doing?
Morning.
The date for July is more so a meet and greet and just us putting out what it is that we're looking to do throughout the school year. It would be a total of 4 meetings throughout the school year. I think that we mentioned that when we came to the first meeting. And each one of those meetings would be at the end of the grading term for that 9 weeks. So again, with the purpose of the July meeting Thursday is a meet and greet to lay the groundwork for how we plan to move forward as the year progresses.
And then Sherry, you were saying, and I know when we talked to meet again, what did we say, late September for the next one? Okay.
After the report cards are sent home, so that, you know, parents or parents will be able to, you know, express to us the things that they saw or did see, would like to see as the school year continues, and they would be able to, they would have an idea of what the mission of the school is for that school year with the kids, especially grade-wise, teachers, you know, different materials and things that kids need, or the path in which the kids are going to be on.
okay, yes, she finished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was that it for you, Sherry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board? I know it's nothing because we're not going to officially all be there. So it's just like, I'm assuming now that, you know, we just going to be in a discussion section about what we want to do for the county, right? Right. And like me and Miranda would do. Okay. You and Eugene. Okay. And then Sherry and whoever did, just setting, you know, in a
Right.
atmosphere where you know you just gonna talk to people and tell them what's. I'm assuming that's where they're going.
Right. Like Sherry stated, the first one be basically like a meet and greet, just telling the community what we would like to implement and tell them what maybe the topics would be in the future, and just kind of, you know, just kind of put it out there to the community initially. And then when we come back in September with you all, you know, then we can get down and get into the topics of conversation of the 3 topics that we had in mind. So just trying to get it out there initially.
And just what are the 3 topics? What topics affect what we do here? I understand y'all talking about parents and kids and students, and you know, we're well aware we have no control over that here.
Right.
So what
Absolutely.
are the topics that we would need to be involved in?
So he was asking about the topic, Sherry. So parent involvement, student engagement. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Parent involvement, student engagement, administrative direction. Those were the 3 topics that we discussed. Now, as the school year progresses, those topics can very well change based on the need.
Right.
Or based on what the improvement that they already see. It's not a session to bash anyone or school system or anything of that nature, because some people may not even have an issue with
Any of those
the direction that
topics.
the administration
Right.
is going in, or the student engagement. That may not be an issue. those are also things that can be discussed, what they see and doesn't need to be changed. So again, the topics will change as the conversation continues,
And again,
which is the purpose of us coming to the table, so that we'll know what we need to be looking at and addressing. Those were just three things that we threw out.
Mhm.
and from the school board, I see those are high topics of y'all's, but from the
Right.
Board of Commissioners, where do we fall in with any of that? We don't, we have no say in the direction of programs implemented in the school system. We have no say over the administration
Correct.
of the school.
Right.
Why would we be able to field questions and have conversations about it?
Well, you would serve as facilitators. So you would be there for that purpose. We were given that idea during a meeting that, hey, maybe have your local commissioners and come be facilitators. As we do know, it takes a village to raise a child. So all the encouragement and input and everything that we can get from the community as a whole would greatly serve the students of the community. So we, as we know that you won't implement programs and set guidelines, we still would like you all's help in bridging the gap between, as Sherry's slogan was, bridging the gap between communities and the school system. So we're all a part of the community. And so we all need everyone's help, not just you all, but other local leaders, mayors, pastors. We're trying to get everyone on board. So
We're trying to get the city council.
right, and talk to our local city council person. So
They're trying to get them back together.
right,
Because
right,
I mean, these separate, we're trying to get us back together.
right. Just bridging the gap.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do. I mean,
And we don't want to overlook the commissioner or the council, but we want everybody involved.
Right.
So you're going around like to us, to city councils,
Right.
everywhere, telling them what y'all are going to do.
Right.
And just inviting us
Right.
to
But-
come.
we invited you all as the facilitators of it. Now, we would love to, we haven't presented it to other local leaders as of yet, but we plan to do that. We plan to do that, and we would like them in attendance also amongst you all.
And I think it ties in good. I know it does. I mean, when we did when the baseball team went to the state playoff back in a few years ago, you know, we all shared, you know, the fees, especially the tax money that was spent to cover their fees and stuff over there. So, you know, we had, and I hear people talking about all the time about the recreation field and the school. But I can see where you're right. It take a village to raise a child, and we all should be tied in this together.
Right.
And the ultimate outcome of all of this would be the kids themselves.
Right.
You know, I don't care how you look at it. You know, we're all in here, and I would like to see. We never had nobody do this before, but I think it's a good idea, and it's all voluntary anyway. I'm
Right,
like, you know, it's left up to
correct.
you whether you want. That's the way I see it. You know, whether you and the commissioner or city council from Unadilla and Brown, well, all the time. You
Right.
know, we need to start doing something because this country is really going in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't got away from the thing that got us where we are now, and we need to get away from some of the stuff that where we are now. But I don't see nothing wrong, you know, with that because we share fields, we do with the recreation department, we do a lot of things together, you know. So, you know, this will be a good indicator, and we need role models.
Right.
Yeah, you know, for our kids, let our kids see that, you know, we can work together. I don't care where you go to school at.
Right. It doesn't matter. And our end goal is student success. I mean, what we have to realize, you know, is the more we pour into the students in the community, those are going to be our everything, our, you know, grocery store clerks, our doctors, our lawyers, our everything. I mean, just Uber drivers, you know, people who work, I mean, at the hospital. So these students are our future, and we have to pour into them And like I say, it doesn't matter if, what background you're from, and certainly once again, as David stated, this is optional. This is purely optional for you all, as it is actually optional for each board member. So, we can only come to you and ask, if you'd like to be a part of it, we would greatly appreciate it. If not, we understand that as well.
And two, I know that Coach Barry, you mentioned at the last meeting how we are a dying county, but we're trying to stop that.
Right.
Like we're bleeding. We need to stop the bleeding.
Right.
If not us, then who? We gotta step up. And if we don't do that, if we don't have a vested interest in these kids' success, they're going to leave and not come back. We know that.
Right.
We see it. So that's the purpose of starting the conversation. Now, again, like Miranda just said, this is optional, but we would appreciate you all being a part of it. But if there's something that you decide not to do, that's fine as well. We're still going to have the conversation regardless.
Right.
Well, the one thing about it, the industry, first thing they're hollering, I heard a lot of people in Jason kind of said, yeah, the only reason why we won't come to Dooley County is because of the school system. And then, man, you can't lure industry here and you ain't got to.
That's right.
That's one of the main things. Their kids come first.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
I understand that you were saying like a town hall meeting, and I know the board member district folk pretty good, and I know I see them a lot. It'll be a whole lot easier, if somebody have complaints and we want to bring the topic to the table. It'll be a whole lot easier for me to get with him, and we get a place and set up a meeting. Then, cause I'm saying 4 meetings a year. I ain't saying I can't make all of them. I probably try to make 1 or 2, but my thing is I can do the same thing just dealing with him.
Do you mean just him individually?
I'm talking about just in case when something come up and and we want to talk about it, or we have a lot of people complaining and hearing all kind of different kind of stories, and we want to get to the point to get the truth out. We'll call a town hall meeting and people will come. And that's the same thing. I'm saying that's the only thing I can see that like David was saying, Mr. Mixon was saying, I don't see too much more that we can do besides dealing with the community. And the kids, we always look out for what's best for them. But
I thought that's what the town hall was for. I mean, not town hall meaning that we were going to do our individual district. You were talking about all of meeting together at one time?
No. Just getting together.
Okay, then I thought that's what.
Right. For example, you and I would, hold one at place of my choosing or whatever. And vice versa. However, each board member would like to work with the commissioner. Now, what we would have liked to have done, Mr. Robinson, was kept it in a structured manner. If we could, just like Ms. Taylor spoke about, we saw the need to do it after, each 9 weeks or whatever, after the report cards and progress reports came out. Then, if as the school year progressed, if the topics change, we see a need for this and that, but still trying to keep it structured. Once again, one of the things that we stated we did not want to do was this is supposed to be positive in nature. This is supposed to be for positive feedback. We provide the topics based on the need that we see. And it's not meant to be a vent session or a bashing of any sort. We understand taking.
How can you stop that though?
Well,
I'm saying people are gonna come with the problem and they're gonna bring it.
And we understand that. But that's where you all come in as far as being facilitators. We give the topics based upon the need, what we feel the need is, and we stick to those topics. Will we have someone every now and again want to vent and all that? yes, we will. We're not saying that we can stop that, but we would get with you all to implement what the rules are, and what the nature of these meetings are before going into sessions with them. So we're trying to keep it in a structured manner, not just for everybody. You know, everybody's going to have complaints or issues, but that's why you all would come in. We would, you know, they would write the issues on paper. That's what we would recommend versus just venting stuff out. So,
Also, with that being said, we can't complain about something if we're not taking the steps towards correcting it. You can't be a part of the solution if you're a part of the problem.
right.
So talking about it on Facebook where nobody can reply or engage doesn't help the issue.
Right.
And I made the statement to Miranda and Ms. Harper. The thing about it is we're coming and we're asking for assistance, whereas I know me personally, I could have just went to Tony and asked him to help me
Mm-hmm.
based on experience. And I mean, he's my cousin, so that I didn't have to do it in a setting where we came to everybody. But because it was an idea that we came up with prior to us even being sworn in,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to extend the olive branch because you all are in community. You all have more experience than we have. The three of us, this is our first go round.
Right.
We don't have that experience. We don't have that know-how. So having you all helps us help them.
Right.
That was the purpose. And that's why it was okay, that is a good idea. Let's talk to them. Whereas again, this didn't have to be a conversation that we took to you all. It could have been something that we just did outside, but we didn't want to exclude anybody.
Ms. Burke?
Couple of observations. One, I think that it's important that the school board be 100% behind this before they ask you to do anything. So a resolution from them, if that hasn't been done, would be the first step, calling on what entities they want to invite to the table. That way it's not one or two emissaries from it, it's the entire board in unison. And then, because it's one political body to another, and then you know that the political body that's asking you to assist them is 100% behind this effort. Number two, everything needs to be done with open meetings. And you need to be mindful of the number of people on this board that would constitute a quorum. And if so, that would be the same from their board. I believe it has the same number of people. So you don't add those together, but if you have to advertise a meeting, both bodies would need to advertise that meeting. It would not hurt to do that, because then you don't run afoul if someone else shows up and then someone who is a naysayer wants to make an issue of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not focus on the negatives. I would focus on the positives and forge a way forward. And that would be a positive, response. But the third thing I would say, it's very important to delineate what the roles are of the two respective boards and or the other boards if you invite city people in. The reason is you are sworn to uphold a position under the Constitution of the laws of the state of Georgia, whether it be the county, the school board, or a city. And you understand those and you go to training on those. But the average member of the public sees elected officials as one lump group. And that's not a bad deal. We all have to come back at the end of the day and do our own piece of the puzzle. It's important to have communication. 4, other communities have done this very successfully in different ways. And this is a novel approach, and I think it's worth a shot. But what I've seen happen is a community, for instance, Lee County, you have the county commissioners that never get along with the cities or the school board. Well, they had a county administrator who came along, Alan Hours, who later went over to Glenn County and kept that place together during all the recent stuff they had with their police department and everything else that made national news. Finally, he got enough of it and left. but he was at Lee County before we went over there. Very quiet, unassuming person, very much like Steve. But he took it on himself to go and go himself to the different meetings. And then after he went to meetings like this lady is here, just observing, not commenting, just saying, I'm here to introduce myself like these ladies are doing. And then after he had built that rapport, I'm not here for anything bad, he got the ice broken between the silos of leadership, okay, and got the communication going. And, you know, they had like one annual meeting once, and then after that, they had a round table maybe once a year or something where they could have all the groups come together. But that's one way of doing what the same thing they're doing. And the net effect was that it opened the lines of communication between the different groups, because then it just wasn't me, myself, and I. Now, the county commission can't do things for the school board. I mean, as far as we can't buy school buses for them, but we can certainly be aware that you know, people, but we put roads together that those school buses drive on. And you know, that's the part of the equation we can answer. So the big issue here, I think, would be the last thing I would say, number 5, is if once you get the approval from your board, and assuming that's not been done, but assuming that that's in the works, once that's been done, I think maybe a test run in one district would not be a bad idea. And don't try to plan out, I wouldn't try to plan out future meetings. I would set a meeting with a published agenda, and I would also have a way for the public to comment on it prior to that to get on that agenda. So if anyone wants to have a gripe, that could be monitored beforehand in writing. And you could always put those toward the end, and you could address all those concerns. That way you're not caught with a sandbag, because you're trying to keep it as a positive thing.
Right.
We have an agenda policy, and I believe you do too. And the reason we have an agenda policy is so that it's fair notice to everyone who's coming to the meeting what's going to be discussed. And then if someone has a beef, they can bring it, but in the confines of an organized democratic way, so that it can be responded to, and we're not just stirring things up. And I don't think that's the intent of what you're trying to do at all. And I think you're trying to avoid that negativity. And I think you will, if you do it this way, like you're planning. But I think maybe a test run, and then, you know, and I would say pick a district and get that commissioner on board, get the elected officials in the other capacities in there. Even look at some of these appointed boards that you all appoint to and we all appoint to. For instance, I believe the school board appoints to the Board of Health, do they not?
They do.
All right. And so if you don't know who your representative is on that, I think it's your superintendent.
That's
I'm
right.
not sure. But that person, since that's a county board, those people need to be involved too, because they're secondary appointees.
Right.
And so, you know, if it's community service and we're bringing everybody together, bring everybody together and have everybody explain what their role is. But I want to be very clear from this board's perspective, if we're asked to mediate or moderate anything, make sure that we're not giving the impression that we're stepping on someone else's toes.
Right.
And I don't think that's the intent, but I want to make sure that the John Key public doesn't get confused, you know, as to what the motive is. And I think the motive is pure. And I think that the way you're going about it is in the right direction with open communication. And I think it can result in a positive for our community. And I think it's just when there's a fire going on, no one knows how to put it out. And so at some point you say, all right, we're going to go to the fire and figure that out. And you don't want to make it worse. And I don't think it's bad. I think that you've got the right people at the right places to do what needs to be done. So all I can say is come to us, I guess, or put it together. And I think maybe try one district is what I would suggest, and then see if it goes from there. How best to model it.
That sounds, I like what you said. That sounds.
And I wrote that down. Thank you very much.
Right.
Okay, that's from my attorney, but again, y'all attorney probably need to,
Right.
you know, combine the thoughts together and make sure that everything is done legally.
Okay.
Because the only thing they do is just give it back.
Right.
Yeah, that's not my opinion.
Right, that's all they do.
I'm just going to
Right.
make sure that we keep it open, which is what you're doing,
Right.
and keep a line of communication going between the boards.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
At least you're trying to create a foundation, trying to get
Exactly.
something started.
That's it. And that's the main thing, just trying to get communication and the conversation, just trying to get it going.
Do any other board member? Do any other commissioner? Got me talking.
That sort of answered your question.
Hmm?
Did that answer your question that you asked?
Yeah,
No, I'm talking,
yeah, yes, I think y'all are gonna do a trial run in a district and see how it goes. Again, you've seen town halls on TV and stuff, and as much prep and all as you want to put into planning and organizing it, they normally turn into something that got you questions and all that, and that's just something I'm hesitant to be involved
I
with,
understand.
because you
I understand.
can't control that. And we can't answer those questions for the school board.
But you wouldn't be put up under the spotlight to answer questions. So let's,
What you all would be doing is making sure that
right,
it runs smoothly with facilitating.
right. So, but
Basically monitoring the round table and just moving them from table to table in an orderly fashion. You wouldn't really be speaking at all other than, hey, how you doing? Being cordial. But we definitely understand what it is that you're saying.
right. And then, the thing about it is that also, I don't know if I'm not gonna say being new or whatever, but I believe in transparency.
Mhm.
So there's not anything that and I understand what you're saying, but that mindset as far as and it's kind of negative to me, I will be honest, but and I'm not going into it like that. Do I think that there will be people that will come in? If there are questions that we can't answer, ma'am or sir, we'll get back to you when we can answer that. I understand and I appreciate your concern, but if I can't answer it, or I'm speaking for myself, if I can't answer it comfortably and give them a truthful answer, that is something that I'm not going to engage in anyway. So I'm full of transparency. I'm not going to hide to anybody in the community about anything. So if my main goal is the success of students. And I believe once again, it takes a village to raise a child. It starts in the home and then in the community. So I'm going in it, being very optimistic and very positive. Do I think that, other things will come along with it? I do. Am I prepared for it? I am. So, but with transparency and truthfulness and honesty. So that's all I can bring to the table.
Tim,
Oh, I'm good.
Eugene, Tom?
Yeah, I think, let's go ahead and give it a shot.
Mhm.
And just,
Okay.
I think your first one's gonna be successful and everybody else is gonna want to when theirs is gonna be. That's
Right.
probably what's gonna happen.
And I never thought about what Bert said over there a minute ago. That's good structure.
Right.
That's why we pay him to give us
The
the
big
input.
book. That's right.
Okay.
Good, some very good information, and we appreciate you guys for even entertaining the idea and trying to brainstorm and work together with us. We appreciate you all. We do.
That's it. Anything else, Steve?
Thank you all for having us.
Thank
you
y'all.
all.
Thank y'all for coming.
Now, do we need to meet back with you all in June or July?
Y'all have that date set yet? Meeting
Well,
date?
we said that the dates that I gave you were the 17th through
17th
the
to the
21st. I mean, I'd be willing, if that's okay with you, David, if we want to kick off the first one,
I don't care.
or Sherry and Tony wants to, Mr. Lester. So, You know, I'm fine with being a guinea pig. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I know probably any of the board members, probably commissioners don't care, but I don't mind being the first one,
Okay.
or Tony, or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we just, Mr. Gregory, just get with?
I would get with them, but
Okay.
what I would do is I'd pick the one where you think you've got a lot of other support to begin with.
Right,
You know,
right,
I mean, I'm not saying you don't have support,
Right.
but if you know that there's somebody's really mad somewhere, I wouldn't start there.
right, right,
I'd start
right,
where where there's gonna be some constructive feedback.
right,
You know?
exactly.
And I mean, but I think if you just tell people you can't be negative, they'll get the point, but they'll be negative about that. But if you give them an
Right.
opportunity to speak and then address those concerns and take the steam out of it, because negative people come to drop a bomb and see the reaction.
That's it.
But the truth is, they may have a legitimate concern
Exactly.
that needs to be addressed. And if it's addressed appropriately, that takes all the steam out and it moves the conversation forward where it's what you want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm prepared for it. All
I
right.
appreciate y'all coming.
All right. Thank you all once again. Y'all have a great day.
All right, Bernetta, come on up. Mm-hmm. I just asked Bernetta to come here for us to talk about item number 7 on the agenda. The current special purpose local option sales tax that we have in place expires the end of next year. So we need to decide when we want to hold the referendum to renew it. We've already decided we do want to extend it for another term. So what dates would be potential election dates that could be on the ballot
For this year,
for this year?
November
That would be November.
7th.
That would be the same as potential municipal elections, correct?
That's correct.
No other county election scheduled at that time.
Not that I'm aware of.
No other election of any type scheduled at this point for November 7th. If we didn't do it then, when would be the next potential election date?
Don't have the schedule for the 2024
Because the state
yet.
hadn't set that schedule yet.
Right. The only thing I know about 2024, they did let us know when the primary was the primary date, but other than that, I don't have the schedule for 2024.
And would that be the same as the presidential preference primary?
That's exactly what it is.
Which
because
is.
When is that? What is that
We
date?
don't know yet.
It's March the 12th.
March 12th.
March the 12th.
We have county elections next year.
Yes.
All the major ones
The
are,
constituted sheriff, the clerk court, tax commissioner, probate judge, coroner,
Commissioners.
a commissioner, 1 or 2 board of education members. Along with, I don't know what else. That's all local that I know of.
and all except the probate has a primary.
That's correct.
Yes, the
Right.
probate now is nonpartisan.
That's correct.
Right. Yes. So, right, and that's all the potential dates. So we decided we want to do it in November or March.
In November, we had the question last time of all this city and all.
If all cities had to have an election going on,
All cities have an election.
Would this be on the same ballot or separate?
Separate.
Has to.
Unless you guys come to some type of agreement or work something out. It's 2 separate ballots.
could it be handled at the same location in each city?
And finally, yes.
Vienna, it is the same. Unadilla, it is the same. So those 2, it wouldn't be a problem.
That's the biggest two.
Where are you voting?
And it wouldn't,
Where does Pinehurst vote?
Mason Lodge or whatever,
The city of
City
Pinehurst,
of
where they
Pinehurst.
vote
in their
at
office.
City Hall.
It wouldn't be a problem if, select somebody didn't sign up to run in the city election. You know, if they didn't have nobody qualified against them, they wouldn't have no election. So if they,
Say that again, Tom.
if nobody qualified, but the people that's already,
If they didn't have any,
On the, talking about for Pinehurst or for any city?
yeah, in the city, you still go ahead and have ours still.
Yeah.
That would make sure.
That would diminish turnout possibly.
Yeah,
That
it
would just eliminate them having to go to two different places.
Right.
But,
Like if
It's all-
Pineville doesn't have a city,
contested race.
Just,
if they don't have a contested race, they're not gonna have an election. So then you gotta get folks to come out and vote for this.
and when's our deadline, Steve? Then, March, that will be definitely deadline.
That's the latest we could have it.
Even the latest beginning.
Thought we couldn't have it next November.
No, because you ought to have it so many days prior to it's expiring. And I think it's like 60 or 90 days prior to it expiring. It expires next December 31st. So November of next year doesn't qualify.
And before we set these dates, we've got to have everything else in place.
Yeah, you got to back up.
Cities.
We got to notify the cities that we're going to start the negotiation process of how to develop the project list.
Now, I don't know if we can or how we can do it, but if it was any way that we can work with the cities, especially the smaller cities, and just have their ballot on our ballot, it would make life so much easier. But I don't know, because most of the other ones, besides the one I named, they're paper ballots. So I don't know if we can get them to come over to the machines or what the ratification is behind it.
Well, does it, the first thing they're gonna ask is it gonna cost them, and I don't think it's gonna cost them because we've got to print the ballots anyway, right?
Right.
So if we offer them to put it on the ballot, at no cost, and they have no problem with that being done, then we just need to get each city to pass a resolution that's going to affect this election.
So you'll recommend it that if we did it, that we do it for the cities at no cost? Is that what you're saying?
On adding to the ballot, because will it cost us anymore to add another? I mean, it's gonna cost so much to print the ballot anyway, right?
That's correct.
So I guess find out what the cost would be, but I don't know that it's gonna be more or less.
As far as the ballot, if just speaking of the ballot only,
Mhm.
it's not gonna cost us anymore.
Okay, what would be the cost?
Getting the equipment ready. Because now I'm gonna need more equipment. But it's still gonna be,
We gotta have the same number of machines, though. What's the difference if we treated the counties just like we treat the cities just like we treat the county on this particular election cycle? Not going forward with everyone every time they have an election, but just on this one. We just treat it would be the same, wouldn't it?
as far as the cost, is that what you're speaking of?
Right.
Pretty much.
Right, that's what I'm saying is,
We'd have to man the polls.
right,
We're gonna
but
have
we've
to
got to
man
do it
them
anyway.
We got to man them anyway,
Yeah, we got to mail them anyway.
except for
Cities are gonna be all in.
early voting for the city's elections.
We still got to do it.
You got to do it for the county,
Right.
which you would do here in Vienna.
Mhm.
But Byronville ain't gonna want, I wouldn't think Byronville wouldn't want their early voting voters to have to come to Vienna to vote for a Byronville election.
Well, let me ask you this. Could we make their poll workers for their city elections, for their early elections, could we have them cross deputized so they're doing it for both? And then they pay for, the trade-off on this would be that they handle our early voting at their location. Is that gonna work or not?
Are you saying having early voting, are you saying county do their early voting? And then each city do their own early voting? Is that
Well,
what
where
you're
else
saying?
would they have their early voting? Would they have it at their city or would they have it at the county? I know Vienna can, but I don't know that anyone else.
Cities do early voting?
You do that?
Mayor and council races.
I think they started, yeah.
Like I said, Unadilla and Vian is not gonna be a problem.
Sure, that's-
Our concern gonna come with Bienville, Doolin, and Lily.
And Pinehurst.
Bienville, I'm pretty sure we can work that out so that at the very least, we're in the same location. Either they have their people coming to us or either we go over there to where they are. I don't think that'll be an issue for Bienville. Pinehurst shouldn't be that big of a concern either because if we're still at the Sun at Large, it's just a matter of going from one room to the other. And here again, I'm almost sure we can work something out with them that everything can be in that one room.
But how would early voting for the cities be handled?
If we move the location of the precinct, which is for this one thing, from my understanding, Bert, you can double check me on this. I think it has to be a 60-day notification to let them know that this is going to, like, you're going to be voting here as opposed to there. And then we have to get some signs out to each one of these locations. There's some pretty big signs, so we're gonna have to purchase some signs, letting them know that you'll be voting here as opposed to there. I think they about 3 feet.
But where would somebody in Byronville go to vote early for the Byronville city election?
I would want everybody to come to the Vian, like they normally do. I would want everybody to come to Vian. That's why I said if we do this 60-day thing and let them know their precincts and everything is changing. If you all try to let them do their own at their city,
Could you do
that's
this?
gonna be a bit much.
Yeah, I see that being,
That's gonna be a bit much.
Could you check with the Secretary of State to see if there's any problem with doing it the way you're proposing, or the way I hear you saying, which would be to have all the cities come there. Before we go to the cities and ask them to do that, we need to find out if that can be done, because there may be something that says that you have to have on the city elections. I think the city would have to agree to hold it at somewhere outside of the city limits.
For early voting.
Correct. And that probably has been encountered somewhere else. And that would solve the whole problem. But then it's a political issue for the cities on early voting as to whether or not Byronville has to send their people to Vienna to do this or not. You know, in the end analysis of all this, if we could get an agreement when we do our joint services and we do our service delivery strategy and all that, of where we coordinate the elections for people, you know, and we have this agreed, we can have that worked out, we wouldn't have this problem going forward.
but if
We're not there yet.
if we were to choose the March date as the election, we wouldn't have to worry about it. The city elections wouldn't factor into it.
I'm still scared with Pinehurst, Byronville, Lilly, and Doolin of them not having a contested race.
Yeah.
How many times do those get contested?
Even if that's gonna play in your favor, I understand. That's gonna play in your favor if they don't have a contested race, because if they don't have one, then all those people have to vote on is the county race.
But
So
are they gonna come out?
back out.
Are they gonna come out just to vote on SPLOST? I'm worried about low turnout.
Oh, you talking about the turnout?
If you had a mayor running in Byronville, they're gonna come for that, and then they'll just vote with us on SPLOST, or vote for SPLOST. But I'm scared of
You talking about turnout?
I'm scared of a low turnout if there's no contested races in those cities.
Well, then, wouldn't you think March is gonna be a higher voter turnout?
Perhaps March will be your highest.
Be a simpler conducting, I mean, you won't, that way you ain't gotta worry about the city elections in March. So am I hearing we leaning toward March rather than November?
I think there's too many positives for March not to go with March.
And we can still start the process with the cities now to make sure that everybody's on board with SPLOST.
Okay, so we're looking at March.
Tom,
Finally,
Eugene, Tim?
That sounds good.
Okay, that's why I wanted her here to, let's all talk about it, because I see pluses to try to do it together, but I see a lot of
Yeah.
unknowns and potential issues trying to do it
With the early voting part of it.
with the early voting part is what I'm seeing as the most potential. Okay.
You do not need, on this vote, it's so important, you do not need there to be a sideshow of local politics because somebody had to drive over here to vote for it.
Yeah,
Like you said, is the city of Byronville gonna wanna send their folks that like the early vote all the way to behind the vote?
No, they're gonna come here to go to the grocery store, but they're not gonna come here to vote.
They go to Monson.
And they voted Montezuma too.
Okay. That's all oh, did you get my email about the trailer for the 4-H? I'll get with
I
you.
might have.
I'll get back with you. I'll get with you. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Clemens, come on up. Mr. Clemens is here for item number 11, come on, computer. Let me get here, number 11. The county's employee medical insurance. It's medical, dental, and life insurance. It renews July 1. Ray's here. He's our agent. Mr. Clemens is our representative. The coverages are currently with, the medical is with Anthem. Is it just called Anthem now, or Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, or what's the name this week?
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. The life insurance is with Anthem Life. The dental insurance is with Anthem. Okay, all right. Just trying to get it all straight.
Everybody should have 3 sheets. And the first one actually shows the premium earned for the year. Basically what the county pays to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for the year, annualized. It shows the claims after that. And then we did have a large claim that's pool within the ACCG pool, over 100,000. We did have some claims above 25,000 and above 50,000. It shows based on premium paid and the claims paid, they have a ratio. And that net ratio was about 87% for the year. Much better than last year. The annual trend is the trend increase normally across the board, all carriers use from a claim paid this year and a claim paid next year. Average goes out, it's about 12.3% is what they figures use based on the number of employees. That net change from this year to next year is about 2%. So that's the increase. It started at about 4.5%, and we worked through some data over the last 2 or 3 years and pulled that rate down to 2%. That's good.
Better than last year.
I was reminded.
The pool, ACCG pool, did much better, and Dooley County did much better.
Gotta get some money from
the past 12 months.
When you look at on this sheet there, it said the first sheet, pool claims greater than 100,000. That means one contract, one person pulling in that. Was that a offhanded incident? Is that an ongoing?
Due to HIPAA, they won't provide anything other than a diagnosis and a condition.
I know last year we said we had a lot of COVID.
Right, some COVID in there. This was a medical condition that a person was treated for. It ran over 100,000.
And that $105,000 was after they applied their contract discount.
That's right.
So it was a hell of a lot more than that.
That's right. Much larger than that. There you go. So in summary, the medical rate change is about 2%. Dental went up somewhat, but The county's actually, it's a voluntary dental plan, so that doesn't affect the county's costs there. And the dental premium is small anyway. It's about $28 a month, so you're talking a lot less premium dollars. And then the last sheet shows a 7-year renewal history, which is a little above 5%. So in dollars, that 2% equates to about $18.70 per employee, based on 105. That's about $23,000 for the whole year.
I'm a numbers guy, so let me share. What item was this? Here we go. And just remind everybody, as far as the medical insurance, we offer two plans. We call one a base plan, which is what the county pays 100% of the employee to cover an employee. Let me get my figures here. No, that ain't it. So let me get it. I got it here at the back.
You get two.
So first, the employee has to decide whether they want the base plan, which is a $5,000 deductible, or we have what we call the buy-up plan, which is a $2,500 deductible. The base plan, the $5,000 deductible, is what the county's going to pay that. If the employee wants to buy up they want to reduce their deductible, they just pay the extra cost to reduce their deductible. So if you look at the base plan, right now the county's paying $912.91 per month for an employee cover.
105 employees are in it. Is that right?
So what?
The number of contracts, that's 105 are participating.
Yeah, either, but that's 105 with what's participating in the base plan and the buy-up plan. So that's probably right. So
2/3 have the base plan, about a third has.
About a third have chose the buy-up plan. So the base plan, our cost is going from $912 to $931 per month per employee. If the employee wants to do the buy-up,
we let them do the buy-up.
That ain't right.
We let them do the buy-up without a cost.
No, they pay the difference in whatever, $1,071 and $931. I screwed up on that. So
It's $69 per pay period. What amounts to?
Anyway.
And that's pre-tax, so the net savings.
But then the employees also, like I said, the county pays 100% of the employee only. If they want the other types of coverage they can get is employee and just a spouse, employee and just children, or employee and whole family. But what's interesting to me, y'all insurance agents cover y'all's ears right now, you know. So look at the renewal rates. We're going to pay $931 for an employee. If you want to add your spouse, you got to pay $1,181 to add your spouse, which is 25% more than what the county's paying to insure you. So that would indicate to me they figure if you add your spouse, there's a reason you're adding your spouse. They got some medical issues. If you want to add children, it only costs you $631.
As many children.
And that's whether you add one child or 10 children. Kind of question that sometimes. Then if you want to add your families, it'll cost the employee $1,800. And I don't think we have anybody that has family coverage.
Just a couple.
So
we got spouse coverage and then
the spouse and maybe one child coverage or something like that. Yeah. I just thought that was kind of.
But I do want to laugh.
Yes, but overall, the 2%.
You heard that, Lynn?
The 2%. It's hard to complain against that.
Right.
Just so you are aware, the cost for the city of Leesburg to insure an employee is $1,400. And it's with the GERMA plan, which is Anthem Blue Cross, but it's a 90-10 plan, which is a Cadillac plan, but still have some high deductibles and other things too. So, I mean, you're not as bad as it could be, but we have run into the same issue. Our employees cannot afford to put their family on the coverage. It's great coverage for the employee, and that's one of the benefits of government employment, but it doesn't go further than that, unfortunately.
And just to remind everybody, under the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, no matter what deductible option we choose, the employees can, the maximum the employee has to come out of pocket is, for this year, is $7,900? $7,900.
They capped the maximum out of pocket to the employees and also individual coverage. And it's been a graded scale over the last several years.
Because I think it started off at $7,500, if I remember correctly, several years ago, and gradually increased.
It's just part of that Affordable Care Act. And then I've met with a number of employees over the last few years, showing them it can't afford the spousal coverage or dependent coverage, individual coverage through the ACA. They offer individual.
And that's just, I'm a prime example with my condition and what's taken place with me in the last 15, 16 months. I just got a bill 2 days ago for a helicopter ride I took from Chris Regional to Jacksonville. And normally it takes 47 minutes, and we had a real strong headwind, they say. Last thing I saw was the sock sticking straight out at the helicopter pad. But 47 minutes normally with that headwind, it added about 26 minutes. That bill was $25,423. And they wasn't serving me lemonade in there. All I could do was bat my eyes. I could not move, you know. But the cost of medical treatment and care now is just, it's just unreal. But then again, and I'm not advertising this too awfully much, but I, as a senior, could elect to let my primary care come from Medicare. Best thing I ever did. I would have hated to put that helicopter bill in Anthem's hands to pay. Because they'd have been questioning the mileage and, you know, miles per gallon, the whole 9 yards to get down there. Somebody would have probably had to explain that headwind. But Medicare with a good supplement, smooth as silk. So if you're sitting there and you at retirement Medicare age and can draw your Medicare, and you still sitting there with this as a county employee as your primary care, you're making a grave mistake. Let me say that again. You're making a grave mistake. Hope you do not have to have the coverage for a large claim. First of all, you don't deal with a $5,000 deductible. So that's a positive right off the bat. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. But I am so thankful. Plus, all those expenses, guess what they didn't do? They didn't affect all my fellow county employees going in this pool right here and causing. Mine alone would have changed that 2% for Dooley County, trust me.
Right. I've met with a number of employees over the last few years about that, showing them the differences in Medicare and group coverage.
Let that Medicare work for you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request a motion that we renew the current plan with Anthem
at 2%.
with 2% increase.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
That's it.
There's been motion and second. Do we have any discussion before we vote on it? Jim, I'm glad you didn't, that $25 went past.
That was just a ride. That ain't them 230. Oh, no.
You would have made
Isabel,
everything. would have went
Isabel
up.
another rewrote last year.
Boy, you got a mind.
You see, when you start getting our age, that's when the wheels start coming off.
And I just
When the
told you,
wheels start coming off.
I just told you, Gene, he always told me, the insurance company ain't gonna lose no money.
They ain't in business to lose money.
Right, so,
And say,
they ain't no way you
Amen.
25, ain't nobody gonna pay for it. Yeah.
What's our thing of opting out? What do we give? $350.
That going up now.
Okay, all in favor by the show of hands? And that motion carries.
Thank you.
What all do you need, or just get with me, let me know what all you
I'll
need.
see you.
Ah.
Thank you very much.
appreciate you bumping heads with them folks, because they'd rather charge that
4.5%.
I never start at that point.
I
Always
hate
work them down.
I hate.
Thank you, Ray. Okay, let's see here. Got that. Now we can get back to some items on the agenda. You got your financial report as of the end of April. I just point out a couple of things right quick. You'll turn to page 6 or look on the screen, whichever one you want to do. This is sort of a one shot look at the summary of things. It looks at the total revenues and expenditures for the general fund. You remember, we got a general fund, we got a SPOS fund, then we got a grant fund. But by far, the general fund is the largest fund. It's where the most of the bills are paid for. And this report is divided in three sections. You got the budget section, the revenue section, and the expenditure section. And as of our annual budget is $15 million for the general fund. It's $15,888,000. If you divide that by 12, then in theory you get $1,324 every month. And if as of the end of April, then if you got it equally each month, your total should be $9,268,000, which is 58% of the budget. Well, actual revenues came in for the month of April was $1,132,000, which is a little less than what, but that's to be expected because property taxes, the bulk of them come in December, so that skews things. But and then our year-to-date revenues is $12 million, which we way ahead for revenues, which is a good thing because understandable. The bulk of property taxes have already come in, so that's, and we're at 75% of the year for our revenue, which is a good thing. We're ahead of. You look at expenditures in the month of April, we spent $1.1 million, so a little less than what 1/12 that would be. Total year to date, $9,720,000. So we're a little bit ahead of what if we were dead on, and we had 61% of expenditures with 58%. That's nothing to get alarmed about, because right off the bat I can think of, we make our retirement contribution in March. That's a one-time large thing, so that skews it a little bit. So I don't get upset if it's not, but I want to get way above on the expenditure side. So to me, that's just if you just want to look at one shot, that's what I would suggest. Let's look at every month. It's how we're doing for the general fund. And then we go to page 10. We look at the same report for the SPOS fund. This is a little bit more. The SPOS fund budget total is $2.7 million. That equals out $225,000 every month. As of the end of April, if you did it equally, it'd be $1,575,000, or still 58% of the budget. Actual revenues for the month of April for SPOS was 252,000, which is above, which is a good thing. So year to date's 1,614,000. So we're tracking. Right now we're tracking better on revenues than what we projected. That's all we can do is project the revenues. So we're at 59%. So, but then, you never know what the economy may do. That could take any time where it could get better. And if you look at expenditures, we've only spent 142,000 in the month of April, considerably less than what 1/12 would be. We've only spent $936,000. So we well under percentage wise, which kind of makes sense because if you think we haven't spent fire department SPOS, those are special projects that usually get spent once a year. And here again, SPOS is a little different. It don't get spent. If the money's not in the bank, it don't get spent. So you may go over, you may look like you go over budget on the percentages, but you're never going to spend more than SPOS money what you got. Because, for example, the fire department just found them a fire truck. So we wired the money yesterday, $46,000 for the new fire truck that y'all had already authorized them to do. They found one out in Nebraska. So they're looking for somebody to drive out there and get it if you want to drive out there. So anyway, I just wanted to look at that right quick. And the only other thing I would suggest, let's look at every time. Of course, I'd suggest looking through everything, but I know some folks ain't as big a number of folks. Starting on page 21 is what I call the expenditures by department. So this shows you each department, how their actual expenditures for whatever period we got here adds up to. And if they were dead on budget, the percentage should be 58.33%. So if you scroll down through here, this was 100%, but that's a one-time expenditure, so there's not going to be any additional expenditure for the ABM project. So that explains why it's more than 100%. Community development, I need to look and see why that one's so high. It's a relatively small budget, but still, I'll look back and see why that deserves a little look at. EMS is tracking a little high, 64%. Nothing too bad yet. Overall, everything seems to be well within. I don't see anything to get alarmed about at this point in time. So I just wanted to touch briefly on that.
Who pays the Elon credit card?
Credit card is going to be, okay, the way I get to the credit card is near the back.
But who pays it?
Oh, the county pays it. We pay it. County commission. We pay it. That's the credit card for the sheriff department.
We got charged interest. Are we carrying a balance?
I didn't look into that. I don't know. We pay what they ask us to pay is all I can tell you. All right, back to the agenda. Item number 3, we still have a vacancy on the Board of Health. We'll keep that on the agenda till that position gets filled. Jalapa Road, just to remind y'all, that's where we had two 60-inch metal pipe failed earlier this year and the road's washed out. And just to remind you where that's located, that's Jalapa Road highlighted in yellow there. It's east of the town of Dooling, north of Byronville. This is Highway 230 going back to Unadilla, so that's the general location. I've contacted, like I told you last time, I contacted our DOT, our engineers getting an estimate up, and I hope this had the package submitted to DOT requesting some additional LMIG money for this project. And along that lines, I actually contacted our DOT board member now. Used to be Johnny Floyd out of Cordell. His term expired back in April, and our new board member is Kathy Williams, and her term expires in 2028. The DOT board members we're in DOT Board District Number 2, which is coincides with our U.S. Congressional District Number 2, which is Sanford Bishop's district. So they do the DOT board members are the same as congressional districts. So I think she's out of the Columbus area. I have called her and introduced myself to her, told her we were going to be submitting this package. I asked her if she wanted me to copy her on our request. She said, please do. And she said she would do all she could to try to help get us the funding. And then if we ever needed her to come over here to meet with the board or look at a project, she was more than willing to come. So
You need her. Mount, what's that road out there?
Spring Hill.
Right here.
We need her.
Let's see how this little one goes first, and then we'll do on that. But anyway, just wanted to update y'all on that. Back to the agenda. Item 5, the Unadilla EMS. We talked about how we want to dispose of the house. We take one of these around and look at it. Thought I had that in here.
It was on your addition,
Was it?
surplus property number 18.
Okay, that's
I
okay.
think this is what we're building.
Yeah, this is just for what we're building. The road department got the pad completed. They did a good job with that. Here, pass that to Tim. I'm sorry. They got a good job did a good job getting the pad ready. They've started working on the foundation. There's still some issues with that, but the concrete hopefully will be poured next week. So everything's.
When you send the pictures of.
Mm-hmm.
The plumber has gone out there and got the plumbing, appears to be, I'm not a plumber or inspector, so I don't know, but I did, when I went by, I knew they had to pressure test those PFDs, because they had a pressure gauge there, and when I went by there was still some pressure there, so I'm assuming that means a good thing, that it's holding pressure.
I want to drop just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's all. They'll leak somewhere, or they can use water to do either one.
Okay, all right.
Tone. Whatever you
We'll take your bid.
Yeah, right.
We'll get to that.
But I didn't see the one, the pressure test on the one in Brownville.
Gotta get pipe over it first.
Moving right along. Item number 6, just a reminder, our next holiday is Memorial Day, which will be Monday week for employees. Number 7, we already talked about the special purpose local sales tax. Number 8, the proposal from the W.L. Schwartz LLC for the maintenance of unpaved roads. This was discussed briefly at the last meeting. After looking at the budget, I don't see where we have the money in this year's budget to do this. I suggest let's table it. When we work on next year's budget, we'll see if we can come up with it at that time. But the money's not there right now. So, okay, we'll proceed on. Item number 9. All right, currently the USDA Farm Service Agency is located out in the Business Development Center, which is out close to Tyson. That building is owned by the Chris Dooley Industrial Development Authority. Dooley County rents the space that USDA Farm Service Agency is in. We pay rent to the Chris Dooley IDA, then USDA pays Dooley County for the office space. The lease expires at the end of this year. Currently, Dooley County, we currently pay $3,685 a month, or $44,220 a year to Chris Dooley IDA. Then USDA turns around and pays us $3,883, or $46,600 a year. So a little over $2,000 extra, because the only thing that not covered under there, what we pay in to Chris Dooley is janitorial services. So we have a custodian go out there a couple hours. So that extra $2 pay reimburses the county for what we're paying. So it's not costing us anything.
The way that's structured, do we determine where USDA is housed? We chose that location, or they choose the location and we are just a facility?
Well, before they moved out there, they used to be in what we call the courthouse annex over here in the upper level. And they got to USDA, and at that time, they wasn't paying any rent or anything. County just provided office space. They got to complaining about the conditions of the building, justifiably so and stuff. So then this option came available. But we told them, hey, we can move you, but we don't own it, so you're going to have to pay rent. The county's not going to really be paying rent for a federal government office. So that's how it got located out there.
Is the FSA the same way? Do we pay, they pay us, we pay?
The FSA is included in this.
So everybody in that group is
FSA, you mean NRCS.
NRCS.
Yeah. This financial arrangement actually covers the large area. FSA has the largest offices. Then NRCS has some smaller offices, and that's all in this.
That covers everything.
Yes. And right now, initially when they first moved out there, they just served Dooley County, but I believe now that office is serving Dooley County, Crisp County. I think that's it. I don't think Wilcox is in there.
What about the extension office? That's not in this number.
No, that's not in that number.
That's a separate.
That's the Dooley County Extension Service office is located in that same building, and the county is paying Chris Dooley IDA for that office space, but that is a true expense to the county. We're not getting any reimbursement from UJ or anything on the county extension service. So they have contacted me and wanting to renew this lease. So they're proposing to leave it at the same. USDA is proposing the same monthly fee. That's covering our cost.
So is the IDA gonna go up on us in this?
There's no plans at this time to go up. So I would suggest let's be agreeable. We ain't doing anything official today, but just letting them know, because they got to prepare the lease agreement. They just want to know, are we willing to renew it for a 3-year period under the same terms? I felt like we would be, but I just want to be joking. I see no issue with doing it that way. All right, item number 10. Several years back, DOT identified 2 bridges in the county on county roads that needed to be replaced. One was on Shiloh Road here down on the south end of the county. One was on Bowen Road, just north of the Hawkinsville Highway on the east side of 75. That time they had what they called a quick track program that they get it done in less than a year. Well, they started doing the initial surveys. Shiloh Road passed all the archaeological surveys and everything. They discovered some archaeological issues with the Bowen Road that kicked it out of that quick track program. And they notified the county that got kicked out. Hadn't heard anything in a couple of years. Last week, you noticed that evidently DOT, this Bowen Road bridge got kicked into another project, and it's on schedule. They're notifying us that they want us to sign off on the proposed detour for the project. And the detour would be, all right, this is exit 112 the Highway 27, if you went to Hawkinsville, coming from Vine, if you cross over, Bowling Road's the first paved road to the left. And you go down about half a mile, the bridge is located right here on Sandy Mount Creek. The detour they propose would be come back over here to Liberty Church Road, go up Liberty Church Road, and cross over the Finley Road overpass, which is currently under construction. So that leads me to believe the proposed begin date on this project isn't until after the proposed completion date of the overpass. I've sent an inquiry to inquire, but I haven't got a response back from that. So assuming that's the case, then I don't see where the county would have any issues with that proposed detour.
As long as that bridge is done.
Yeah, I mean, the overpass isn't done, then that's not.
Well, I mean, will that kick them way? That'll kick.
They'd have to go up to Pinehurst. So anyway, that's the only concern I can see we would have with the project.
How much is the total of the project?
They haven't shared that information.
We won't have to pay.
No, this will be 100% funded by DOT.
We had requested that they move that to their other programs. They made us aware that it would not fit in the low impact bridge program, replacement bridge program, because of all the studies and not knowing what they might run into. I don't know if it was a three-legged frog or a peace pipe or something, but that was a big area for the Indians back in the day. Evidently they did what they said they did. Well, we'll move it to one of our other programs, and now here it is. It's fell in our lap.
Good work.
Good deal. I mean, they would keep us on the board, you know.
They could do a better job of keeping us informed as we go along, but
realize how you're dealing with it.
I totally understand. So, all right, so we'll proceed on. You already talked about number 11, the health insurance. Number 12, we got several boards that have terms expiring the end of June. On the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority, Robert Jeter and Mac Jordan terms will expire the end of June. Unless y'all tell us different, we'll send out an inquiry to them and ask them if they're willing to serve again. Yeah. Sorry?
I said, Mike is in.
Mac's gonna be in, well, both of those actually be in your district.
Mainly they've been active too.
So, on the DFAX board, Lisa Bryant's term expires. I don't know whose district she's gonna be in.
I don't think we do. We've never done these by.
No, they're not,
No,
they're not assigned districts.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, training.
So, and then on the library board, there's two members, Catherine Jones and Laura Lowry. We'll contact them. Then on the Middle Flint Behavioral Health Care Community Service Board, it's Betty Lamb's terms expiring on it. And on the River Valley Regional Commission Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council, Dino Lemon's terms expiring, and we'll contact her. Then the items that we added to the agenda, there's surplus property. The handout I just passed around, it's just showing you this is a notice I think to put in the paper, letting folks know, hey, it's for sale. The Dooley County Commissioners are accepting sealed bids for the purchase of tax parcel U15-11, located at 2900 Pine Street in Unadilla. This 0.72 acre lot includes a 2,072 square foot brick house with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Sealed bids will be accepted until 3 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 14th. That's the day before our June the 15th meeting at the County Commissioner's Office. The minimum bid that will be considered is $65,000. An open house will be held from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, June the 10th, to allow the public to view the property. If anybody has any questions, please contact me.
We're gonna have snacks.
And it's gonna be a bare minimum. She's not involved.
Balloons and the sign out front.
If you,
He purposely said, I'm not involved, so no.
but if you want to bring snacks and balloons, knock yourself out.
I
They
get
cooking
the-
right across the road, so y'all gonna donate some food?
Creamy.
Mr. Mixon, I get the vision of that from American Beauty where the real estate agent's gonna sell the house and it's just a total wreck and she's out there sweeping. I will sell this house today. I will sell this house today.
We're gonna stage it with furniture and a little dog.
Moving right along. Hey, we're gonna need to have an executive session. We'll wait for the end of the meeting to do that. Item number 20, the defects building. Back in 2019, we renewed our lease with the State Properties Commission for renting that office space. It's 10,900 square feet. And we agreed on a monthly rental of $8,227.50. The current term expires June 30th of this year, but per the agreement, they have the option to renew it for additional 1-year periods for 2 more years. And they have just sent us notice that they desire to renew it for a 1-year period through 24. So,
We're cleaned up with them.
yeah, they're back paying us rent. We're caught up on that. So this isn't anything for us to take any action on. I'm just letting y'all know they have notified us they intend to renew the lease for another 1-year period, and they have the option to do it for an additional 1-year period. And then at that time, it's open for negotiation whether we continue to rent it to them or not.
What's housed out there now? It's not defects.
DFAX is there, and I think probation office is there, or that's what was supposedly going to be moving in some of the space. But we rent it to the State Properties Commission, and then they can sublease it to any state agency they want to. So we're not involved in that. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, other than Somerville Road that you requested, the only other thing I have is the executive session.
Right, Mr. Burke, you said we're gonna prepare some,
Yeah, I've got to just update the deeds and get them mailed out.
because one of them called me that this week about it. I told him we were working on it.
Who called you?
William.
The other thing I got, Mr. Chairman, is a request of executive session.
Okay.
Personnel.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, we go in executive session, personnel.
I said.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor by the show of hands.
Y'all step out right quick. I'll call y'all back in.
This will now be recorded.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of executive session as read in executive session.
Okay, there's been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries also. Okay. Now we need to.
I'll make a motion that we offer employment to the 4.
All right, for our position of, hold on a second, let me get back to that. Finance manager, Misty Glenn. For a position of tax appraiser 1, Marshall Ashton.
She's a sweetie boy.
For equipment operator at Public Works Department, David Hoxie. And excavator operator at Public Works Department, Gilbert McLeod. Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second.
It has been motion and second. Discussion. Let's suppose somebody want to oppose any of that though. If we're doing all as a package. Even though I know, I just had that thought.
That's why I
I'll show.
if there is an opposition, I'll back.
No, I'm saying, I just thought about somebody around the table might have, just a common sense.
If you do, I'll withdraw my motion as a package.
But nobody did. Tony, Eugene, everybody fine with that? Okay,
Although you offered it as a package, still in the minutes we'll list them,
Separately.
separately.
okay. Yeah. All in favor by the show of hand? That motion carries.
What will Miss Glenn office be? Will she have an office or she just?
She'll work out of that cubicle where Holden used to work
Cubicle right
out
there.
for the time being.
Okay.
Well, what was her title? Miss, what her name?
Deputy clerk.
Deputy clerk.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, I'm just curious, how much was she making? Miss Holder, whatever her name was it about the same thing as the lady?
About
I mean-
19, about 19, 18 or 19.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
And-
It was
and-
20, I'm not sure.
Miss David, I think where I can't remember that kind of stuff like I used to could.
Well, that come with time.
I'm finding that out.
That's why they made this back here.
That's exactly right.
I'm sorry.
We finished, Mr. Chairman?
Y'all Tony's on
Let
you,
me-
man.
let me,
Oh,
one other thing, I just want to announce to you all, on next Tuesday, we'll be having a lunch and learn. We have some monies that we need to spend from the employee help program. So Candace, who is our help leader, she will be coming in next Tuesday at 12 o'clock. And she's going to talk to the employees about the benefits of the medical insurance. I found out when I attend these meetings that you can now call the 24-hour nurse, and a lot of times they can diagnose your problem without going to the doctor
Sure.
virtually.
Yeah.
So I just think that these things will be helpful to the employees. So she's going to be informing them a lot about their benefits, and we'll just go out to the Public Works on the 30th. Yep, on the 30th, that Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, and present the same thing.
The first presentation will be here.
Yes, next Tuesday, 12 o'clock, and it'll be a lunch provided. So if y'all want to come, you can.
All right.
All right.
Some stuff I don't want to know.
Well, you want to not save money?
I don't want to know because it might worry me to death. I ain't saving no money if it's gonna worry me to death. Think about something I didn't know that ain't gonna really kill me. So some stuff I don't want to know. Yeah. Oh, that is
You ready?
right. Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Chairman, I make a motion with adjourn.
Nobody
Mr.
wanna
Mixon,
leave.
Mr. Mixon,
Stay
second.
home.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been motion and second. All in favor, please stand up and left.
When we meet again? June the what?
June the 1st.
June the